So good afternoon. We are going to, I'd like to call the meeting to order for our December 10th Grand Rapids Promise Zone meeting. Welcome everyone to the meeting. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order and ask Julie to take the roll, please.
Mayor Bliss, Mr. Cuevas. I saw Mr. Cuevas.
Present.
Mr. DeYoung,
Present.
Mr. Faber,
Present.
Ms. Grant,
Here.
Mr. Huizenga,
I'm here.
Mr. McComb. I know he's here. Dr.
He's
Roby.
here.
And I saw Dr. Roby.
Yes, present.
Thank you. Ms. Seeger,
Present.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Here.
and Chairperson Leather O'Neill.
Present. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. I would ask for approval of the agenda, and hopefully it's in front of you, but hopefully you've had a chance to review it.
So moved by Kate.
Support by Diana.
All right, Mayor Bliss.
Yes.
Mr. Cuevas, Mr. DeYoung,
Approve.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Ms. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Huizenga,
Yes.
Mr. McComb, Dr. Roby,
Approved.
Ms. Seeger,
Yes.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Yes.
and Chairperson Leather O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you.
You should have received your minutes from our September 10th board meeting. And if I could have a motion to approve those minutes, I would appreciate it.
So this is Mayor Bliss. So moved.
I second.
Support.
This is Omar Cuevas.
And take the roll. Mayor Bliss,
Yes.
Mr. Cuevas,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Ms. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Huizenga,
Yes.
Mr. McComb, Dr. Roby,
Yes.
Ms. Seeger,
Yes.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Yes.
and Chairperson Leather O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. I would ask for a public comment if there are any at this time. Hearing none, I will then go to the discussion items, and we have quite a few things to discuss. We've had a lot of work being done by people on the committee and people as a part of the whole. And so I'm going to turn this over now to our president of our community college, Dr. Bill Pink. Thank you and welcome, Dr. Pink.
Superintendent Neal, it is so good to see you and hear your voice, and good to see so many of you on this call this afternoon. It's always, I have repeatedly made all types of comments in the last 8 to 9 months about just this virtual living that we've been doing when it comes to meeting and seeing each other. And realized today, as I have come to campus to have a few of these the meetings I've had today, have seen a few people on campus, some of the very few that are here, and having the realization that in some cases, folks who I'm used to seeing on a very regular basis, weekly, with one particular today, first time I've seen her in almost 9 months, and that's just face to face. That's just hard to really fathom when you really think about folks that you're so used to seeing on a regular basis. And many of you on this Zoom meeting are some of those folks. So look forward to the day to be able to see you and give you a hug and be able to fellowship that way once again. Want to just briefly say again, as we have over the past 6 to 12 to 18 months, thank you for this partnership that our college enjoys with this Promise Zone Authority Board. As we got up and running this school year, this semester, when I think about the beginning of this school year and I see some of the metrics that we see here at the college, our community college metrics here at GRCC are very reflective of many of the metrics that we see across the country when it comes to community colleges. For one thing, the idea of enrollment. Nationally, what our data shows us is that enrollment among community colleges around the country is about anywhere from 7 to 9% down. Some institutions a little less, a lot of institutions more. GRCC is right in that same space, about 8 to 9% down in enrollment this school year, this semester thus far, as we prepare to end this fall semester with finals next week. Hard to believe. When I think about that from our perspective, also what we're seeing nationally data-wise is that many of the students who are on campuses, community colleges, and in many cases four-year schools, what some of those data are showing also is that many of these students who are part of our enrollment and are virtual are students that really had preferred not to be virtual, but a COVID-19 virus has caused us all to do some things that we didn't want to do in the very beginning. Consequently, there are some of our students here that are existing in this virtual environment. Some very well, some struggle because it's a different learning environment for many of them. It's a different way to do things. And so what we have done as an institution, when you think about a college that a year ago today, we were about 75 to 80% in person and about 20 to 25% virtual or online. And here we sit a year later, we are exactly opposite. We flipped to college this fall, where we are about 75 to 80% virtual or online and about 20 to 25% in person. And so in flipping the college in such a dramatic way, still being able to service our students the best we can, and actually, from what I've seen, doing a really good job at doing so as far as our GRCC family is concerned and those who work so diligently for this institution. And so what we see with our Promise Zone students, it's pretty reflective. Enrollment-wise, I will tell you that while we were celebrating the fact excuse me, that this first class was anywhere from 200 to 250 students, I think that in a non-COVID environment, and when we're past this COVID environment, I think we'll see those numbers continue to increase as far as those enrollment numbers from this Promise Zone, just like I believe that our enrollment overall will see those increases, because so many students now post-COVID will be saying, I feel safe in going to class now. I feel safe in going to a campus. No matter what all the protocols are that we have set up here, which I believe we've done well, there are just those students who say, I'm sitting this one out. And so we know that. We see that with our population of students, and I think we also see that reflective in our Promise Zone students. And so we will continue to do all we can, especially as we go into this winter semester. Evan Macklin, our Promise Zone coordinator, who is doing a magnificent job, by the way, will share some of that information with you. And I will also say that here after the beginning of the new year, when we are privileged in meeting with you again, as we get into January and then have more metrics of how the fall went, we'll be able to report out some of those metrics in terms of this first iteration of the Promise Zone and this first semester of those students being with us. And so we look forward to being able to do that. But I will tell you, I look forward to us continuing down this road. I look forward to getting to semesters where we're not as focused on the distractions and concerns and dangers of a virus that has made so many ill and has killed so many people. I look forward to us being able to get past this point, to be able to exist in a way that we can look at these Promise Zone students and do it and educate them and provide for them the kind of education that when we first set out on this endeavor as partners, that we all knew we were all capable of providing for them. I look forward to that day, but until then, we're going to keep digging at this, and we're going to keep this partnership that we have here as robust and even more so as we go down this road. So I thank each of you for what you do and for our institution, what you do for this community, because I'm a firm believer that anyone that does anything for this institution as the community's college truly is doing it for the community of West Michigan. So thank you very much for that. And I'll ask Evan to share with you his Promise Zone updates at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pink. And Evan, if you can stay on the board, because the next actually two, after you speak, the next two things on the agenda, I'd like for you to introduce. So thank you for that. So Evan?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chairperson Neal, and all the board of directors here on the call with us this afternoon. Happy to be here with everybody. As Dr. Pink said, it's a bummer to still be in a virtual capacity, but it's nice to see everybody's face and see that you're all doing well. As far as Promise Zone administration updates, if you haven't had a chance to review the board packets in thorough detail, I know that you've had a chance to at least check them, but if you haven't had a chance to review them in thorough detail, and specifically the class of 2021 update, we have 1,134 students eligible in the class of 2021, which is really exciting. That's an increase of 132 students compared to the class of 2020. So the news is starting to spread. You know, the families are starting to become more aware with what the criteria is around the scholarship. And I'm really thrilled with the upward trajectory of where we're heading with the Promise Zone population. Those students, they received conditional award notices at the end of October. And those conditional award notices not only informed them of their eligibility, but it also encouraged the students to sign up for virtual information sessions, which I've been hosting over the last couple of weeks, or they had the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one with me. So I provided the link to schedule a one-on-one or to meet with, or to go through one of the virtual information sessions. Just to learn more information about GRCC programs, what are the steps to access the scholarship. One of the bigger components is obviously FAFSA completion. So I'm talking about that in great detail with students and their families that have joined into those virtual information sessions. And another outreach initiative is I've been working with many of the different Promise Zone high schools to meet with their seniors directly. So I've made myself available, as well as my colleague that's on the line. I see Tiara's on the line, and she's part of the care team. But many of us have made ourselves available to specific high schools if they would like us to conduct a information session to their high school student populations, whether it's seniors or juniors that want to learn more about the Promise Zone scholarship. So we've been really trying to just get the word out, make sure students know what the steps are required to access the scholarship. And you know, many of you are superintendents on the line, so I really just appreciate the staff that you have in your schools and the collaboration that's taken place up to this point. It's really been a strong partnership with all of our Promise Zone high schools. So I will note that. Lastly, just as it relates to one of the other outreach initiatives that's going on right now, I've been in recent conversation with the Hispanic Center of West Michigan about doing some bilingual presentations. And so I'm working with Ana Ortiz over there and many of the GRCC colleagues within our admissions office and our financial aid office to get some bilingual presentations on the books for early part of the winter semester. So we want to make sure that communities that need this information in another language have access to this. And we know that many of the families, their parents, you know, whether the English language might be a barrier to accessing some of the current material. So just really excited and happy about the different outreach initiatives that have taken place so far. And I will take any questions about the class of 2021 updates right now, and then I'll move down to the next one.
Seeing that there are no questions, Evan, if you could move to the next, thank you.
Absolutely. So the next one is just focused on the retention efforts. So you'll meet part of the care team here in just a second that we've established at GRCC. But my colleagues and I have really been persistent in our efforts to reach out to the students that are currently enrolled this fall semester to make sure that they continue towards their degree completion in the winter semester. So as you can see there in the tables that I provided, we had 200, you won't see this in the numbers, back in September, I presented that we had 245 students enrolled in the fall semester. Of those 245, we currently have 137 of them registered for winter. That was as of Monday or last week, Friday, when this information came out. We're now up to 164 total Promise Zone student population enrolled. So we're increasing these numbers gradually. And we've conducted many text and email campaigns. Our academic advisors have gone and created academic plans for all of these students in their My Degree Path Planner tool that exists within the students' online center. So we're really trying to drive home this retention effort. I'm very optimistic that we will see I'm shooting for 100%, as I always am, but I'm optimistic that we'll see 75% to 80% retention for winter as we lead up to these last few weeks before January 11th. So any questions there?
I have a question, Evan.
Yeah.
This is Dave Faber.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the math correctly, you're at 164, but 21 of those are new.
Yep.
Which puts us at about 143 of the 251, which was in the minutes.
Correct. Yep.
And you're optimistic. Is it typical to lose 20 to 25% or more of students between the fall semester and winter semester? Is that something really related to COVID? Is there some more support that's needed? It just seems like a high number to be considering in this first semester.
Yeah, I'll ask Dr. Pink and Dr. Canedo they probably have the data when it comes to our overall student population in terms of retention across the board for GRCC student population. But we do have, much of our student population, they're working full time. And so hours may have increased. And right now we have a lot of students that have, they'll enroll one semester, take a semester off, enroll the next semester. And so that's not uncommon, but in terms of the stats, Dr. Pink and Dr. Canedo, do you know what our average retention rate is?
I would also say, David, that this is, to me, that's very typical of our students, that our students aren't typically your students that in December have holistically already enrolled for the following semester. It's very, very typical for many of our students to wait until a couple of weeks before the semester starts before they enroll. And in many cases, it's because they're trying to figure out what life is going to look like in the next semester. And so honestly, what I expect is to see that number continue to rise, because I will tell you right now on our campus, right now, we're probably at this last report, we're probably, campus wide, we're about probably 15 to 17% of what we expect to be here, or down from what we expect to be here come January 11th, because we know what happens with our students. We will see an influx of them. And I honestly expect that this Promise Zone group will be very, very similar to what we see typically, which is our students that say, I need to, before I go and throw my head in the ring and say, yep, I'll be there in January, I need to make sure that I know what my life is going to look like work-wise, family-wise, before I say, not only am I going to be here, but here's what level I'm going to be here. And so what I expect you to, what I would be expected to see, and it's not just this semester, you'll see this throughout our time over the semesters and years, that's typically what we see of our students. Dr. Canedo, any other comments on that?
No, that was exactly going to be my response, is that, that's a snapshot of where we are right now. And we will see more of those students enroll between now and the start of the semester. We've got a good push last week. We're going to see, right now they're dealing with finals, so we might see a little bit of a slowdown, but as soon as, that we get past that, we'll start seeing these students enroll, and Evan and his team are doing a great job of making sure we stay connected to those students. So I fully expect those numbers to go up.
And I
Just
guess
to give you some perspective, at the beginning, the first week of November, we were at 65 total Promise Zone students. So just in 4 weeks, we've had 100 students enroll. So we see a lot of students, like Dr. Pink said, once they get life figured out, then they start to focus on what that winter schedule is going to look like or the next semester schedule.
Yeah. Do you feel like, Evan, you have the resources you need to successfully reach out to all of them and help them?
I do, in collaboration with my colleagues on the line between the academic advising team and the success coaches, I do. However, I know many of you are leadership within your institutions. So if you feel like your high school counselors have some capacity to do some outreach, maybe we can work together on collaborating and doing some outreach there. But I know our high school counselors are stretched thin too. So I guess if your team feels like they have the capacity to take on some extra outreach efforts, I would be more than willing to partner on that.
If there are no other questions, then I would ask Evan if you would go to the next agenda item, please.
Yeah, so the last one's pretty short and straightforward, but in September, I mentioned that we at the college applied for an MCAN grant. MCAN stands for Michigan Network, Michigan College Access Network. I believe many of you are probably familiar with the MCAN in the state of Michigan. But essentially we applied for 2 AmeriCorps coaches, and that application was approved. So we will be getting 2 new coaches starting next week. And those coaches will be working specifically with Promise Zone students to David's point, help me and our care team with outreach efforts, FAFSA completion, and just all retention related efforts, helping students as they onboard at the college, get them connected to the resources they may need, like laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots. Our current coaches already do this to some degree, but these 2 coaches that we have been awarded from MCAN will be specific to Promise Zone, and they will each have a cohort of about 100 to 150 students. I'm very excited about the 2 coaches that we have brought on. One is a Grand Valley State University graduate that is going to be pursuing the higher education program at Grand Valley. The other one is a recent graduate of GRCC, and really reflects the student population that we serve here within the Promise Zone community, really reflects it very well, is bilingual. And so they both bring a lot of skills and characteristics and experience with them that I think will really bode well for our Promise Zone student population. So very short and sweet one, but happy to address any questions about the MCAN coaches.
There are no questions or comments. And so thank you, Evan. So do you want to talk about now our marketing update?
So actually, I believe the next one was the care team, right? I'm sorry.
Yes, okay. I'm sorry.
All right. So the Promise Zone care team, I've been talking about this for quite some time, but when we started the Promise Zone scholarship, we knew that obviously access was one part of the scholarship, but that the retention efforts and the completion efforts were going to be another piece to the puzzle here to make sure students not only start their program, but they complete and they cross that finish line. And so I've partnered with many colleagues here on the line and many service areas within our student success area, our student affairs area to form a care team around each of our Promise Zone students. So our Promise Zone students, when they onboard at the college, are assigned an academic advisor. They're assigned a student success coach. And we also have a college navigator that also helps with onboarding efforts, retention efforts as well. One of the academic advisors, one of the faculty within the academic advising and transfer unit is on the line with us, Miss Kaylee Steffens, and she is going to just give you a brief overview about what the care team does and the framework, right, that they go through. So Kaylee, are you on the line? I'm not seeing your face, but maybe I have to scroll over to the second page here.
I am. I'm
okay,
here.
Great. All right, cool. So I will let Kaylee take it over from here, and then I'll jump back on for the marketing one.
Okay, thanks, Evan. So my name is Kaylee Steffens. As Evan just mentioned, I am an academic advisor in GRCC's Academic Advising and Transfer Center. I'm really excited to talk to you all today about a brief overview on what we're doing to support the Promise Zone students. So thank you so much for having us. Before I get started, though, I wanted to give Tiara and Becca a chance to introduce themselves, though. They lead their team for the Promise Zone efforts in their respective areas.
Hi, I'm Tiara Wilkins, and I am the College Navigator under the Student Affairs Department.
My name is Rebecca, and I am the lead success coach for the Promise Zone students under the College Success Center.
Thanks, Becca and Tiara. So our team, as Evan mentioned, over the summer, we hit the ground running, right? So we had to figure out like how we could build a model to put in place that allowed us to case manage a group of students that we all really want to see succeed. And it's a unique opportunity for GRCC in the sense of it gives us this true like case management model that I think we're all really excited about and exploring. As part of this model, we have started to develop this care and support team. So the care and support team has advisors, success coaches, and then the student engagement with the Tiara and Evan for the onboarding process. Students receive individualized academic plans and success plans as part of this care and support team. And the academic plans are representative of the students' time, both at GRCC while incorporating their transfer plans and their transfer institution requirements where applicable. So we want them to complete at GRCC, but we're also always trying to be mindful of what their next step is. So I often find myself having conversations with students about their post-GRCC goals to make sure we're aware of that from the beginning when helping them create their plans for success in academics. The students also receive a communication plan from all of us. And so it's via text, via email, and via phone call campaign. And they look a little different, whether we would text or call or email depends on the content. And sometimes it's texting a student to remind them that we sent an email and like, we really want to talk to you. And the emails might have things, campus resources, like Get Help, which is our food and housing and financial resources, disability support services, student employment, tutoring. We also invited students to the transfer fair, which occurred virtually this year. We had over 30 organizations and institutions participate in that. We also did an academic planning email that helps students create their academic plan, understand their academic plan, and understand how to use My Degree Path. And then there were like success strategies, preparing for finals, a final grade review is coming. And that's in collaboration with our student records team to be able to run a query and really get in touch with students about support and celebrating things that went well. So we want to make sure we're celebrating the things that go well, while also offering support on the things that didn't go as well as the student may have hoped. And then important date reminders go out in those communications as well. The purpose in this communication plan is really to make sure students are receiving timely, effective, proactive communications. So when we're telling you about tutoring, it's in the beginning of a semester and right before midterms, and finals. So you're not learning that those resources exist after those big exams have taken place. Additionally, we've offered some virtual workshops that I think all of our teams are really excited about, creating a vision board, having an alumni panel, motivation, study skills, and the academic planning. Academic planning for next year will be offered synchronously and asynchronously, which we're really excited about because that is COVID for us. We have to do it in a few different methods now, but we're excited to see how it goes. We plan to survey students and see like which one gave students the things that they needed to feel like they fully understood their academic plan. In addition to these retention efforts, so the care team starts working with students in the front end of their onboarding process, of course. Tiara and Evan coordinated and provided a series of recruitment campaigns and outreach events with all eligible Promise Zone high schools. They did the admissions overviews and the FAFSA completion workshops, the Promise Zone scholarship information sessions, and we all partnered and collaborated together to do these unique new student orientations that were customized to Promise Zone students. So that's a brief overview. It's kind of fast, but I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kaylee, and to
Thank
Becca and to Tiara too. I thank you for your collaboration and strong partnership in this regard. So, as Kaylee mentioned, we'd be happy to field any questions related to the Promise Zone Care team or the MCAN coaches.
No questions. Thank you for that update. And so at this point, we'll have the marketing update.
Yep. So Elizabeth Bogo and Josh Weston from Reagan Marketing are with us today. Really excited about some of the updates they had to share, because I think that they've really hit the ground running in a number of areas, and thankful for their coordination efforts and the time and effort that they're giving to the Promise Zone Scholarship. I mean, it's been really it's been great to be a part of the process, but they've really done a lot to outreach to the high schools and to our community partners to gain a sense of the marketing materials that may be needed and the communication plan. They're really close to having the communication plan really closely developed. And so I'm just thankful for having them as a partner. And I know Elizabeth and Josh are on with us to share some of those updates that they have.
Hi, thanks, Evan. We have really enjoyed working with everyone at the high schools who we've had the opportunity to meet, as well as with some Promise Zone board members. It's been a great experience for us as well. Josh is new on this call, and I asked him to join these calls because he's really working hand in hand with me on this, both as a copywriter and in the project management area. And so, Josh, if you want to introduce yourself quickly. Oh, is he on mute?
Sorry, the space bar usually works, but it wasn't today. Hi, everyone. I'm Josh. I'm a copywriter at Reagan. It's a pleasure to be here. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
All right, great. Just nice to always put names and faces together, I think. So I'm going to start off with what Evan referred to. I sent out a large packet of a large amount of information in the report I sent that came out in the board packet. So I'm going to give a high-level overview, and I'm going to start with our focus groups. Josh and I worked with different GRPZA eligible high schools, and we asked, our goal was to provide these high schools with questions ahead of time, and then we would sometimes meet with them independently. Sometimes it would be a focus group with multiple schools there. It just depended on what people's availability was. We tried to be really flexible. We understand how busy all those counselors, administrators, communication specialists are, and so I can't thank them enough for the amount of time they gave us and the follow through they provided for us when we came back to them with additional questions. It was really, a tribute to them, as well as a tribute to how much they believe in the Promise Zone Scholarship and how important it is for Grand Rapids. So I'm going to share on a high level what some of our learnings were. So when we met with the schools, overall, everyone felt the most effective way to communicate with people was one-on-one communication. A shotgun strategy worked in other ways, meaning really we try a little bit of everything and hope something sticks. So something, if we try all different methods, something reaches different students and parents. And, and we also learned just as effective, as important to communicate to the parents as it is to the students. And that you're going to communicate to the students one way and maybe to the parents another, which comes back to that one-on-one communication being really, really important to make sure that the student and parents are both on the same page. Especially important in the one-on-one communication is anything having to do with FAFSA. To any parent, no matter the barrier to education, the FAFSA can be intimidating and frustrating. And so the more help and the more guidance they can get personally with that, the better. And then, right on hand in hand with the updated one-on-one communication is that the handout material is essential. Even in the digital virtual world we live in, actual physical handouts that they can get digitally as well are really important. So they'd like to see the rack card and brochure updated, simplified, less copy, more graphics, and a continual reference on everything to the Grand Rapids Promise Zone website, which should serve as the ultimate source of truth. And that aligned with, all the schools had those same feelings on that. And then when we talked about, what about awareness of the scholarship? What about, what do people know about it? What's important? what should be emphasized more. And they all felt that job training, that not everyone was totally aware that the scholarship was available for job training programs, that or that there was counselor support throughout the GRCC years, and that the summer course opportunities that people could take that, and then the easy transferability to a four-year college. And then, one of the things that we really think is important to pull out is how great GRCC is. We talked about that. There's, a lack of awareness of the credentials and accolades of GRCC. And so, somehow highlighting that information, it might be on the website, it might be within testimonials in the brochure. We're not quite sure how that's going to come out, but we think it's really important to highlight that as well. And then another interesting awareness was that, the continual contact after high school graduation is really important. That summer time period is a long stretch of time. And there's a large gap between the day you graduate and the first day at GRCC. And the potential for thinking you're going to do it and then not following through on the application is high. And so if people can keep in contact with those upcoming students over the summer, that could be really, really valuable. Some additional ideas that were generated in terms of promoting the scholarship were through realtors, maybe a billboard. People have talked about that spot, a specific spot on 131. And then another idea we've talked about is bus advertising, both interior and exterior bus advertising. So those were some other ideas that were generated. And then when we talked about, so what students are least likely to apply for the GRPZA scholarship, and what we found was that their answers were generally first generation Spanish speaking students and African immigrants, that the barriers to them are even greater. They need to be shown the details of how the scholarship works. And then, thinking even broader, how transportation will work for them. How will they get to GRCC? How to balance their work family obligations, real life scenarios to consider. And so just providing more guidance in terms of the flexibility of GRCC and how you can make it work at all different times, and online, in person, different hours of classes, all those types of things that can help. The flexibility can help make it applicable for all sorts of students. So those were our key findings from the high schools. We've only met, it's interesting that Evan brought up the Hispanic Center. We just met with the Hispanic Center, and our findings mirrored a lot of what Evan shared already. But mostly what they said is that really among their families, there's a very low awareness of the scholarship, and that it exists, that it's available, and even how to approach it. And so exactly what Evan said was one of their recommendations was to offer a workshop, right there, dual language workshop, and probably have to have ones that build upon each other. The more, not just one time and think that, that's accomplished it. Have handout materials available. And then, something else they brought up on our call with them, we had about 4 different people from the Hispanic Center with us on the call, was that they feel it would be really helpful at GRCC if there was a specific person or number that they could call for information, for questions about FAFSA, for questions about the application. They feel like when they place a call and someone's Spanish speaking, that they kind of get lost in the process. And so that was a big call out to them, was that if there was a direct line, a direct communication line, they think that would be helpful for them, because they're often making the calls on behalf of families. And so then we have other community focus groups coming up, where most likely we're going to be speaking one-on-one with some focus groups. And Chairperson Neal has been super helpful to us in getting those organized. So thank you. So then in terms of other, and that'll sort of wrap up our discovery and audit process. And from there, we'll move on to our messaging platform, the communication plan. And one of the things we've already done, we sent the first version of a brand guide over, and then to Chairperson Neal and to Evan, and they gave a look through and they gave us some recommendations on some things they'd like changed. So we've just resent them the brand guide, a new brand guide for them to review. So that's really exciting. We're excited to start to see that in person. We know that Josh Spencer has some needs for some thank you posters. And as soon as that brand guide, as soon as we get to the approval on that, then we can start working on the brochures and the rat cards and all the things that we want to include in the toolkit, as well as the thank you posters. So with that will come with, you know, a messaging platform that we've developed that we'll share. And that'll sort of starts the beginning of the communication plan and actually getting all these pieces out into the community. The other thing we've worked a lot on is the website. We've done a complete website audit, and our web developer has made a recommendation, which has been approved, and he is starting to work on things that you won't see right now. Probably it's a lot of the external, the internal website pieces, things like accessibility, usability. And then as soon as all those are built out, you'll start to see the external website making some changes as well. And we're really excited about that. There's a long list of items that are going to be updated on the website. And the next thing I'm going to talk about that we're doing a little out of order because we found the availability of some studio space. And so we're going to take advantage of the studio space and do some testimonials from GRCC students. And Evan's been really helpful in helping us identify some students that represent different, all different facets of GRCC, both from a background, a color, a major, and a major studying path. So we're going to start doing those testimonials next week. We have December 17th scheduled for the video, and it is as COVID-free, or as, I shouldn't say COVID-free, as COVID-safe an environment as we can find. It's in the studio. There'll be 60 social distancing, there'll be masks. The person doing the video won't be wearing a mask, but our videographer and everyone else will have a mask on and will be within that distance from the person actually being videotaped. And so then at a later date, we'll fill in that with doing some B-roll. But since we had the opportunity for studio space, we thought we'd take advantage of getting the testimonials done now, and then they'll fill in on the video later. So that's a really brief and fast overview of what we've been busy working on. Does anyone have any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that update, and thank you, Evan. I would like to move the group to our action items, please, at this time. And we're going to turn this over, our donor recognition proposal. We are so pleased and excited about this to share with the public. So I'm going to turn this over to Josh.
Yes, thank you. So almost 11 months ago to the day, the board approved your development plan, and as part of the plan to meet the legislative requirement that we cover the first 2 years of the scholarship with local funds, we also started a fundraising effort. And we were working with a subcommittee, and the members are listed there on your screen. And we have now exceeded our goal and raised $3,132,000 from 14 donors. We've received overwhelming support from the funding community, and they've really saw the importance of this investment. So we're pleased with that result. The committee has, we're working with the committee to develop how we are going to recognize those donors, as well as commemorate the establishment of the scholarship. So this proposal, the total cost that we'll go through is $48,725, and it consists of a couple different parts here. So one is the concept is to put duplicate signs at City Hall. They're on the first level overlooking Calder Plaza, as well as at the GRCC Learning and Library Commons, 36-inch by 55-inch signs that will be at both locations. And we'll get into the design here in a minute, and the locations are detailed in the proposal you have in front of you. The other part of this proposal is smaller signs that will be the same exact design and verbiage of the larger signs will be given to each of the 24 high schools that are eligible under the Promise Zone. And those will be smaller, 20-inch by 28-inch signs. But again, they're going to be the same design as the sign. And The design is in front of you. So we selected a sign that's 3/8 tempered glass. The images don't do it justice, unfortunately. I wish we could have had a sample, but behind the glass will be a painted color, and the color you see before you is what the committee chose. And I also showed kind of the difference between how those are going to be mounted. As far as the sign verbiage, I won't read it to you, but that's on your screen there. And I really wanted to share the list of donors with you today, but we're finalizing some of the paperwork with some of the donors. We want to make sure that we have we have straight how each of them want to be recognized and if they want to be recognized. So that will be forthcoming in a future meeting. But right now we're just showing foundation donor 1, 2, 3. So the date on the top, I should say, that is the official date that the Department of Treasury approved the Promise Zone development plan. So that's the date that will be on the sign if you approve today. And so that's what we decided to do there. So in the memorandum, we're requesting a motion to approve this proposal as well as a motion to approve a budget amendment because these costs were not in the original budget that was approved in the amount of $48,725. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, first, I just wanted, this is Tom DeYoung, I just wanted to congratulate those that went out and sought support, as well as thank the very significantly generous funders that helped bring this thing to fruition here. It's unbelievable. That's really great news, and I'm glad to hear and read it, and I'm excited to be able to have been a part of it. So thanks for your efforts, everybody, on this, and certainly congratulations to all for this milestone.
I would ditto that. This is exciting on behalf of all of our children. What an awesome kind of start. And so thank you to the team that worked towards this, and for sure to our funders in their support and investment in our young people. Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. At this time, I would like to ask for approval, please, a motion for approval.
This is Mayor Bliss. I'll make the motion.
Tom DeYoung, support.
The roll. Mayor Bliss,
Yes.
Mr. Cuevas,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Ms. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Huizenga,
Yes.
Mr. McComb,
Yes.
Dr. Roby,
Yes.
Ms. Seeger,
Yes.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Yes.
and Chairperson Weatherall Neo.
Yes, yes,
Motion
thank you. Thank you for that, Julie. I'm going to ask at this time, I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to read the Student Success Framework in your packet or not. And if you have questions, we will take them at this time. If you'd like to know who our committee members who were involved, we can share that as well, and we can take any questions for this brief conversation. Thank you. So if you have questions, then Evan will address those at this time. And have a motion to approve there. Hearing there are
Appreciate it.
no
I don't
questions.
know if it's just my internet, but kind of lost. You're breaking up there. Was that just
Did you?
me or was
Okay.
that everybody? Can you repeat
Okay,
that just for a
so-
quick second?
Yeah, I will repeat it. So the information was included in the packet around our student success. If you have questions, we can answer those at this time. If you do not have any questions, then I will ask for a motion to approve the student success. So either or. So let me first say, do you have any questions about the information that you received? So let me take one at a time. Hearing there are no questions from the board members, the Board of Trustees, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I heartily approve the Student Success Framework Committee recommendations. This is
Heartily second.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You guys, this was really important for all of us, and you guys did a lot of work. So I thank you. So Miss Julie, can you take the roll, please?
Will do. Mayor Bliss,
Yes.
Mr. Cuevas,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Ms. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Heisinger,
Yes.
Mr. McComb,
Yes.
Dr. Rovi,
Yes.
Ms. Seeger,
Yes.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Yes.
and Chairperson Weatherall O'Neill.
Yes, thank you for that. And thank you for the work of the committee. We just really appreciate that. And I would ask Larry Oberst, Larry, somewhere on my phone. Larry Oberst, I would like to ask you to come forward for the disbursements.
Thank you, Chairperson Weatherall O'Neill. Good afternoon, board members. In your packet is a list of 3 disbursements that took place in October and November. They went through the process internally, have been paid. The first being the fall semester tuition for our Promise Zone students of about $156,000. And then the book charges related to those students of almost $55,000 to the GRCC bookstore. And then Reagan marketing contract, we got an invoice for a first payment on that of about $4,700, totaling $215,930. So as policy dictates, ask for this board to approve these disbursements.
This is Kate. I would approve, motion to approve.
And I'd be happy to second that.
Julie, if you can take the roll, please.
Will do. Mayor Bliss,
Yes.
Mr. Cuevas,
Yes.
Mr. DeYoung,
Yes.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Ms. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Heisinger,
Yes.
Mr. McComb,
Yes.
Dr. Rovi,
Yes.
Ms. Seeger,
Yes.
Ms. Pugh Walters,
Yes.
and Chairperson Weatherall O'Neill.
Yes, thank you, Julie, for that. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any public comments, and we'll just give it a few seconds.
I'd like to just share my appreciation for all the work that's being done, and also on a personal note, I think Dr. Pink and his team. My youngest son, Adrian, has had a great freshman year so far, considering that it's been virtual. Feel like he's had the support he needed to be successful. And as he reported this morning, he's doing great on his grades. So thank you so much from a person, just for my family.
So I'm going to jump here, and Omar, I'm going to take that is your board comment as well as a public comment. So would you have anything else that you would like to add as a board member? Because at this time we'll go around the table. Thanks a lot. Thank you for jumping in. And so I'm going to look at my screen. I see J.C. Heisinger. Sir, I would like to ask if you have any comments.
No real comments other than to say how pleased I am with how things are going.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Roby.
I am excited as I'm learning. This is my first official meeting, and it's just really powerful. I'm excited just about what 2021 is going to hold for our young people. So thank you for all of your work and dedication to our community's children.
You'll learn every meeting I make mistakes on Zoom. I'm not good with Zoom. Thank you and welcome. Dave, any comments?
Yes, I just want to also echo the comments and great gratitude to all those who have worked so hard on the development fund and exceeding that goal, and the community coming together in such a powerful way. And I would also like to kind of confirm, Omar, I have a nephew who's already looking forward to the Promise Zone scholarship next year. So
Awesome.
It's great.
That's great. Diana?
You know, I have a word to the wise. Evan, first of all, thank you for your wonderful work on the committee for the student success framework, and it was actually a joy to work on that committee. But if you ask too many questions, you get asked to serve on a committee.
Or you
I
bring
think-
knowledge, you have
Oh,
years
yeah.
of it, so.
In my big mouth. So, but no, seriously, thank you, Evan, and everybody. It was just, it truly was a pleasure. So.
Great, awesome, awesome. Tom?
Nothing other than what I said earlier, but kudos and ditto to what Diana said about Evan. Evan, you were awesome throughout that whole process, by the way. I was very
Awesome.
impressed as well. It was a pleasure to Diane. I had fun. I don't know if I had that much fun, but it was very, very much a pleasure to work with you, man. You did a great job. So thank you for that.
Good, awesome. Mayor?
Yeah, I'll just add a couple of thoughts. I think about this year and, with all the challenges that we've all faced and the work we've done around this table and with the Promise Zone has truly been a bright light in our community on these days. And I'm going to add my thanks to all of you for all of your work in bringing forward the action items that we voted on today. A heartfelt thank you to the funders who are investing in the future of our children and youth, and mostly at a time when a lot of people are losing hope. This work is giving them hope. So thank you to all of you, and GRCC, Dr. Pink, your entire team has been exceptional. I'm just very grateful to be in this work with all of you. So happy holidays, and I'll look forward to a much more optimistic year ahead. So
Thank you, Mayor. Kate?
Glad I followed the mayor so I could say ditto.
Love it.
Possibly add to that. It really has been a pleasure. Good group on the Fund Development Committee. I hate raising money, but
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
fun because everybody was so enthusiastic. So again, have a great end of your year, and 2021 can only get better. So
good. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Mr. McComb?
I want to thank everyone for their hard work. All the team members, you did an excellent job. I always refer back to Rita Pearson. Every kid needs a champion. You are the champions. Thank you so much for your work.
Awesome.
Have a great holiday, and see you all next year.
Awesome, awesome. Madam President?
Yes, of course, everyone has said everything, but I just want to say that this work is so appreciated, and I'm so glad that we were able to get a head start on it before this year because our kids have had a really rough year, and we all have, but our kids in so many ways. And if this didn't exist, a lot of those kids may feel like they didn't have an opportunity right now or a chance because of the things they've experienced this year, or maybe even some of the mistakes they made this year by losing motivation or other things. And I'm so happy to know that this is there for them to take advantage, and still they can have the future that they want to have. So thank you all so much for your work. It meant a lot in the beginning, but it means even more now.
Thank you. And I just want to say, as your chairperson, I appreciate you all allowing me to serve, and I push hard, and I know I do. So I appreciate everyone for being patient with me and for allowing me to push. But it is for kids. It is for kids. And you guys, this is going to pay off dividends. And as Christian said, we are saving a lot of children. Dr. Pink and Lisa Freiberger, I'm telling you, you guys have just been awesome to work with. And I know you have done everything with your team, Evan and the crew. You guys, we talk probably 2-3 times a week. And so there's a lot of conversation going on behind the scenes. I appreciate all of you for taking the extra time, our texting and just meeting to try to get this right for kids. And it's been a lot of time. It's more than just public meetings. And so we push, we have to